Good morning and welcome, everyone. My name is Schatar Collier, here with Super Live Producers, the 12-week training and certification program on live streaming and web video. We are now in week number 8 of the 12 weeks. So I want to give an amazing applause to all of our cohort members. Welcome, welcome, and congratulations for all of your progress. At this time, I'm going to bring up Super Live Producers founder Maxie D. Collier. Welcome, Maxie.
Good morning. And thank you for your introduction, dear, as we go into week number 8, our second lesson of week number 8. And as promised, we're bringing back OG Troy Nalls, the family, and he's going to give us some updates and show us some of his latest studio gear. And then Troy's going to walk us through his post-production and editing process. Now, in our previous lessons, we've talked about making promo videos. Last Sunday, we talked about making family history videos. We've talked about recording live streams. This session, after we have our studio update, is going to really focus on guiding you through the editorial process of turning those ideas and that rough footage into finished projects. And as a person who has edited and used nonlinear editing systems for more than 25 years, I've been blessed to see the changes in the technology as it's gotten better, as we've gotten more apps and more power and more capabilities. But I want to start off by kind of taking it back a little bit. Dear, before we do, are there any updates that you want to mention before we get rolling?
We do have some updates. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just so you guys have the information and can follow along with us. So the first thing is that today we're going to be talking about video post-production. And lead instructor Troy Nalls has been with us, and he's here. We're so happy that he's here with us today. So all of the students in the cohort, I know you have your notebooks and pens out, your Google Docs ready to take notes, because this is going to be key information as always. So the next thing is, when we are here in the process, we normally go through our welcome. And in our welcome, we talk about why we're here. So last session, we gave you new tools and new things that you can use. So right now we're going to go into the details of how to best effectively use those tools for editing, for doing your live streams, and for making your web videos. We're going to talk about studio gear and the post-production process. Again, my name is Schatar Collier. For those of you who are joining us on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and at superliveproducers.com/live, you can always follow us here at this link. For the main thing, to sign up or to join a wait list, you can go to superliveproducers.com. And then you can also connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Schatar, and we can connect there. Also, today, as we walk through the specific lessons, Troy is going to walk through these lessons with both Maxie and myself, and we're going to share our professional experience on working on these web videos and live streams, so that we're giving you the things that have helped us, so that you don't have to go through the trouble of trying to figure out how to do it. We're going to show you the exact steps of how we do it to get it done. If you're looking for our brand on the web, you can also look up our hashtags and keywords. You can look up Super Live Producers. Just search the term hashtag Super Live Producers, and we'll come up across social media, so you can get the information you need. Also, you can connect with Maxie Collier on LinkedIn. His LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Maxie Collier. You can connect with him here. And then Troy Nalls, also, you can connect with Troy at linkedin.com/in/Troy Nalls and connect with them there and ask him any specific questions that you have about what he is going to talk about. And then, Maxie, you were saying that there was some information before we bring Troy in?
No, that you handled that wonderfully. That's why you're such a professional. Great job, dear.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
All right,
you.
cool. So let's go ahead and bring Troy in for today's session. OG
Yes,
Troy Nalls.
Yes, welcome, Troy. How are you? Thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
You gotta have your own applause, and you gotta have your own theme music. Every superhero needs his own theme music,
That's real. Absolutely, man. How you doing? How you guys doing in Dallas there today?
Oh man, we are doing well. Dallas is one of those areas where when it gets cold, if you don't like the cold, just wait 15, 20 minutes and it'll be hot. It's starting like in the 40s and then get up to the the 70s and 80s. But before I go forward, I just have to, I'm feeling real West Coast today, right? I'm happy. I'm here with my friends and my family. So I always got to play my own theme song, because if I don't play my own theme song or theme music, I'm a DJ first. No one else will. You know what I'm saying?
Well, all right, pick us up. Get back.
Oh,
yeah.
Yo. I just needed a little bit. So I'm back.
Yes.
That
is great.
I thought you were gonna play your custom 4 Eyes track.
You know what? You know, in honor of 4 Eyes is.
What up, Troy? It's your boy 4 Eyes, Ultra Beast United, Mud Knock Studios. This for grown men with the grown man habits. Well, how that sound? It's called OG status.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
4 Eyes.
Yeah.
Big up 4 Eyes. Cool, man. So, all right, Troy. So, yeah, before we get into post production, so you've got some gear we want to talk through. You know, you always have the most interesting gear. You know, so tell us about what you're streaming with today, and give us a little idea. And dear, can you bring up the picture?
Copy that.
All right.
This is.
So today. So that was last night when I was testing to see, what would work and what wouldn't work. And in the picture you have the Rodecaster. I'm a big fan of it because it allows me to play videos from my computer like it's in the live stream and not outside. It allows me to play music, allows me to add sound effects. To this day. To this day. And I just really like it. So that's the Rodecaster. And it's not the best podcasting system. There are some that are a lot better, but I call it the iPhone of podcast machines because you see the big buttons. You see that big green button at the top. If that button is red, you're recording. Whereas on some of the other equipment, you have to understand the workflow of mixers, and you have to enable each channel. And there's like 3 or 4 buttons. If you miss one, no bueno. And so since I know how to do that, right? But when I'm recommending equipment and gear, I try to make it to where it's the most simplistic and for me not to be the bottleneck. A lot of times when you're a tech guy, you become the bottleneck. And in this season, just like this course, it's about empowering people and putting them in position to where they can produce their own content. Walk out with a website. We've been trying to help people get in on the weekend, get your website, get all your assets. And so that's what that is. The little piece of equipment in front of it.
And how much is the Rodecaster, Troy?
The Rodecaster is $599.
Okay, cool.
This is the ATM Mini Pro. And basically it is a switcher by.
Hey, dear, can you bring Troy up? Can you bring him up full, please? There we go. It's
the ATM Mini Pro. It is a very nice machine for switching. But small form cameras or iPhones are not going to work. You need something that takes HDMI, so it has 4 HDMI connections on the back. It also has Ethernet and a USB out to a monitor. So now, if we go back to the picture, rather than use the way you see how I'm glistening, there's a reason why I'm glistening, right? Not only did I go get a fresh shave, always cut 7 years off my face. But I also I elected to use the my DLSR, my mirrorless camera, is the webcam rather than this camera, which is the laptop camera, which is it's just not vibrant.
Can we bring it back up there? Okay, cool. So this is your laptop camera. This is your iPhone laptop camera. And okay, cool. So we see a little pixelation, we see a little noise, but then when you switch to your DSLR camera.
Bam!
Look at that, man. Look at that picture quality. Look at that depth of field. That's fantastic.
Great.
If I was single and dating, this would be on my christianmingle.com profile picture. Or whatever dating apps people use nowadays. I don't know. And so I also have an LED light.
Well, real quick, how is this camera connected to your machine?
So it is connected via USB. And if we pull the picture back up, what you'll see is 2 cameras sitting off in the back, and also the light. And this is one of those 2 cameras. Okay, the light is actually a light kit that I picked up. These are I forgot the name of them. Godox. And they're LED lights, and I have 3 of them.
Bring it back up, please, dear. 1 second, Troy. We're going to bring it back
That's
up.
when you see it, as you bring it up, it's the light that's in the
Okay, we're up.
So here's the light, right? It's LED, and it has just different ways you connect it. You can
Nice.
And put it on your camera, or even on the mini tripod. Like, I'm gonna do this one, but I'm gonna turn the light around so you want to see it, like this mini tripod.
Nice.
And the thing I like about it is the effects. It has special effects. I can, turn it different colors. I can.
Is that the one your police siren?
Yeah, I could have, blinking. I could have the police. I can, as a DJ, I can use it to follow the music. Let me get you to the police. That's lightning, TV.
And this is the one you said was $69?
Yeah, it's like $70. That's the police. So if you get that, and then just for enrichment of your videos, having different effects. This is a wonderful tool, and I have links that I'll send over that we can put these in ambulance. And then listen, I was talking to a young person who was born, I don't know, 28 years ago, and I was telling her this one has SOS, the Morse code.
Oh, what?
So if you're out somewhere, now you have Morse code. And she was like, "What's Morse code?" And I was like,
that makes sense.
I could explain. I was talking about Western Union and talking about sending a telegram. And have you ever seen a movie where they're telegramming and tapping this thing out? That's what this is. So, so that's what I like about this light. It's very flexible.
It's great.
And can we bring the photo up one more time, dear?
Copy that.
Thank you. Okay, so Troy, so again, so the two cameras side by side on left and right, which is which, and then what's the other one?
Well, the other one is a similar camera, actually the same camera, but what I was testing yesterday was the focal length of the lens. So it has two lenses, and so this is my 50 millimeter wide.
All right, we'll bring Troy up full, please.
And what's called a prime, meaning it doesn't, you can't zoom. So just a basic medium shot, not all the way wide. And then this lens is this one's the 18, which is wide, to 135, and you can zoom in on a person. And this is a good lens to get if you're only going to get one lens, because you can get a fairly wide shot and a good zoom, a good digital zoom. Optical zoom. Meaning it's not the sensor is not working harder. The lens is. And so I just set them side by side primarily to test out the switcher, because for me, there's so many tools. Wayne asked me as I was listening, are these custom in-ear monitors? These are in-ear monitors, a Mr. Mixer guy, but they're not custom. They're ones I bought on Amazon for $30 or $40, because when I'm out with bands, I want to hear what they're hearing, and I want the monitor mix. And I just didn't have my headphones, so I threw the monitors on. But you can get these for $30 or $40. The professional musicians, if they're out of town, they don't have them. They get the Shores from Guitar Center for $100. Or like my son, if you're really into it, he has custom in-ear monitors that are about $800. He's sponsored by a particular brand, of course. But yes, these are in-ear monitors. Cool. So what I was saying is, like, I tested this last night because there's so many ways that you can deliver this. I didn't have to put the podcaster in but I wanted one feature. And that was just for the videos to play better. And so it's always good to beforehand test out any setup. And even in the production process, is make sure you have a battery charging party the night before, because there's nothing worse than getting on set and not having the right wires, the right connectors, and dead batteries. Dead batteries is a sign of a lack of discipline and immaturism, and also just unprofessional to show up with dead batteries.
Yeah, and as I told Josh son when we were filming yesterday, be prepared, like the Boy Scouts told us. But not only that, have everything you need in arm's length. I mean, in arm's distance, in arm's reach. So you're not running around in the middle of a production, trying to find that one little connection or that one little cable. Is there anything else you want to mention on the studio showcase, Troy, before we get into the editing? Yes.
What you said, like everything in arm's length, when you switch to this way of production, there's a lot of little pieces, right? And what happens is you spend more time looking for them than you should. And so just like you put your socks in the sock drawer, put your drawers in your drawers drawer, you got to come up with a system that allows you to, not to keep going back to the picture, there's a suitcase in the background. That suitcase is my production suitcase. And when I'm going out on a gig the day before, I make a decision of what's needed and what's not. And so I switch out all the little pieces, all of the connections, the batteries, the gaff tape, based on what that production is looking for, what is requiring.
Mm-hmm. All right, dear, let's bring the photo up one more time again, and we'll do just a quick little look through and see if there's anything else up in there.
Photo coming in.
All right, cool. Thank
Case
you.
in the back, and then you see these black cases. You see my mask. You gotta wear your mask, but you see my container store to the right. I use bags color-coded bags in different laptop cases to delineate where something should go. So when I look in this bag, it should be there. When I look in this case, this case has 2 hard drives, right? One is I'm using that I'm editing from. I got a red one over there. We got, I can pull out my Hennessy bag. My not Hennessy. What is it? Crown Royal.
Yo, Hennessy.
Yeah, Crown Royal. I have a green Crown Royal bag that I keep my power supply in. Every time I pull it out, people start celebrating like we about to party. And it's really just my power is my juice. Not that juice. Other juice.
All right, bet. And anything else on the photo? Can we bring up one more? Are we good?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Anything for the computer? Any notes about your computer? Anything special?
Yes, I'm a big fan and a big believer in what I call total cost of ownership, right? And so as you're starting out, you want to get the best processor speed that you can afford as you move through. And so if I was starting over today, I have a MacBook Pro that was kitted out. It's probably $2,800 new, right? But that might be too much. They have the 13 inch instead of the 15 inch right now for about $1,000. But if I was starting and budget was a concern, because budget is always a concern in my opinion, because you could put money into this or into this or into that. What I mean by that is like I got the camera, I got the lights, I got the lens, I got the podcaster. So you don't have to get the best of breed of everything. You can kind of start and rise up. And so I would buy a Mac Mini, and you have to plug in a monitor and plug in a keyboard and plug in a mouse. But most hotels I stay in when I'm traveling have a TV with HDMI connection. And so you can just come off the back of your hotel television, right? I've known people who bought the Mac Mini and carry a 24-inch monitor with them. And so rather than spending $3,000 on a laptop, right? Since I move around so much, I no longer operate on my desktop. My desktop is just for something else. But if I was moving around like I do, or I would start off with a Mac Mini, the 13-inch Mac, and then I would buy an external monitor before I went out and spent $3,000 on a laptop.
All right. And then how much hard drive your hard drive and RAM would you get in that Mac Mini?
So I don't invest in the internal drive at all. Whatever they have is what they have. I try to max out the memory RAM. And so right now, this laptop, which I bought in 2017, has a 500 gigabyte solid state drive. I'm a big fan of solid state drives. And it has 16 gigs of memory. And it has the 2.9 gigahertz Intel Core i7, which I don't know what that means, but it was the best available in late 2017.
That's the microprocessor model, the model of the microprocessor, so it was the i5, then the i7, yeah.
So what it does is it eats up 4K. So like if you get a slower computer and you're shooting 4K, you want something that is robust enough to handle whatever you're feeding into it. Because I was telling one of my production family, stop buying those low cost, slow SD cards. There's 3 classes of SD cards. And I know it's very complicated, but here's how I figure it out for people. If you see, let's say a 32 gig card and it's $10, and it's sitting next to one that's $20, get the one that's $20. Okay. Because what happens, and we're going talking about the editing process or the post-production process, when you go to take the content off those cards, the faster ones, the ones that are rated for 4K, let's say the card has 20 gigs on it, it might dump in 10 minutes. Whereas the slow one you pay $10 for might take an hour. Okay. And then it's going to drop frames and all these things and things that you don't want to happen within a production. So don't save money on the SD cards. And so, like I said, I don't invest in the hard drive on the machine because every project I do, I put it on an external hard drive because I don't want the computer or the processor working hard to access the content. I put that on a solid state drive. I keep going back to solid state. You can buy non-solid state drives, but they're slow. And if time is money, everything that you buy that's in your chain of editing that's slows down that process. So when you're rendering, if you have a slow computer that's rendering, you just lost an hour, and what is that hour worth? Whereas a faster machine might, instead of an hour of rendering and exporting, might take 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Very true.
So we're going to get back into the software and into the apps in a minute, but let's go ahead and dive in. And I want to kind of take it back a little bit, So again, I referenced about those early days in the 90s as we were transitioning from analog to digital media, and we used to have to transfer our film footage to beta SP tapes, to 3/4-inch tapes, and then we'd have to use those old editing machines. I remember I had a 3/4-inch editing machine. One deck weighed 45 pounds, and it took 2 decks and a controller in order to do that old editing, So we've mentioned before, video editing. What exactly is video editing? It's the idea of taking our audio pieces, our video pieces, our text, our transitions, and making stuff shorter and putting it in the logical order. Make it shorter and put it in order. So I'm speaking now, as this young OG, as an OG, but 25 years ago, it was just at the birth of computer editing. And I had the great fortune of producing a movie called Mind Games. And this was in 1992. Mind Games was the first short film that I ever produced. And it's the story of a stage show psychic who travels the world. He's a womanizer, but he kind of meets his match. I had the idea for this story. And then I had a homeboy named John Parks, who was a director there in DC. We met on the music video shoot for DJ Cool. And it was a DJ Cool's song, Reggae Dance. John Parks directed the video, and I was assistant director. And we saw that we worked together great. So I told John this idea that I had for this story called Mind Games. And he loved the idea. He sat down over a couple of weeks and banged out a script. I bounced around and did my revisions on the script. And then within a few months, we had raised the money in order to shoot this on film. And so we shot it on 16 millimeter film. The film was the director of photography. Now, here's the key thing. This is in the early 90s. A lot of us are really interested in motion picture production, especially those of us who have worked in television. But we don't have the internet to learn this. We don't have hands-on access to people to give us this information. But what happened is there were a couple of veteran OGs, Marcus Smith there in DC, and a good brother named Phil Judkins. Marcus and Phil had learned motion picture productions in the 70s. I think they were in the military or something like that, but they had learned motion picture production. Marcus was a masterful director of photography, and Phil was a fantastic sound recordist. Now, this was at a time when we made motion pictures where we recorded our movie, our film separate from our audio recording, and then we married them together in the editing. It took a lot of expertise in order to use some of that old equipment in order to get quality sound. So when John and I got ready to do Mind Games, we knew we were green to this filmmaking process. So we knew we wanted to have some folks who were a great cinematographer and a great audio person. Marcus came through and Phil came through. And I'm bringing this up because Phil Judkins just passed away just last week. And if it wasn't for Phil Judkins, I don't know how many of us there in the DMV would have never got wonderful sound, pro quality sound for our projects. And then Phil saw the way that I worked on my projects, and he brought me in as a freelancer there at the American Red Cross, where I worked for several years, stacked my money, and invested that money into my movie Be More Hacks directly as a result.
Take just a moment of silence for Phil, please. Just a moment.
Thank you, dear. Phil Junkins.
Thank you.
All right. And I want to send my condolences to Phil's family and to all of our DMV filmmaking family. Okay, I want to play a little bit of this movie here, Mind Games, because I want to kind of give you guys a context, of what we're talking about. And in this scene, I chose this scene because there's a lot of my future and current collaborators are actually included in this scene. So I make a cameo, Ada makes a cameo, John Parks is playing the lead villain. My stepfather, Sid Burstyn, this was the very first movie that Sid ever acted in. Since then, Sid has written and directed movies, starred in dozens of movies, and has built a whole career. But this is the movie, a little bit from our movie, Mind Games.
Anything you want. What do you have? You are a patient, but you've been patient thus long.
John Parks here.
You burnt the old Kirby down. Hey, yo, boy, hey, that's Kirby. That nigga so bald, every time I put on a turtleneck, look like a roll-on. Yo, Rock Live. Whoa, 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 whoa. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate it. Well, Kirby, great shows deserve great endings, so I thought bringing it back to his Manhattan roots would guarantee us just that. And besides, it was Linnell's idea to come around robbing, kind of homesick. Service! Some service! Service! This is like this rat hole of a platform you call a club? Come upside my head with these drinks you're serving. Good thing I brought my own. I said service, me, damn it! Damn sideshow freak. That's around that black magic and everybody up in here. Service! I want some service, damn it! Even blessed songs get served around Salisbury.
Okay, so I'm showing this movie and this scene because this is where I cut my teeth on editing. Under the guidance of John Parks and some of the OGs and the veteran folks who gave us feedback, it was, and it's not just where I learned how to edit, but because of my computer experience, John and I were editing on some of the earliest nonlinear edit. It was the earliest nonlinear editing system. It was called an EMC system. And what's crazy is that EMC system today has less RAM and less memory than probably what we had in a couple of photos up here in this computer. But so here we were. We had shot the movie on film. We had transferred it to digital beta, which was also a new innovation at that time. And because of John's relationships as an editor at the early Discovery Channel and there around DC, he had a great relationship with a production house in DC called Henninger Video. Henninger Video. And I have to say it twice because John and I would trek. I would be coming from Baltimore sometimes all the way down to Virginia, and John would be in DC, and we'd meet up there in Henninger late at night working on these slow, old editing systems, where we have to go edit little piece scene by scene at a low resolution. And then we'd have to go re-render it and go through all these processes. But we learned it. We learned that technology. And then from there, from an EMC, Adobe came out around that time, Avid came on, and then there was a whole world of nonlinear editing systems. So from those early days with Mind Games, I went on to participate in editing Be More Hacks, Paper Chasers, gave their feedback on Detention, so editing became another tool in my toolbox, So now here we are all these years later, and I can't stand editing. I've edited too much for my own taste. I still do it. It's just kind of like writing and spelling. You do it because you have to. But Troy loves to edit. He is passionate about it, and he is a great editor. He's able to come up with ideas, shoot it, edit it, and deliver it very quickly. So, which is why as we got time, came in to do this session, we said, okay, let's talk with Troy. And again, I want to give a quick shout out though for the Mind Games crew right there. John Parks, Robbie Mack, Sid Burston, Galloway, Ada, Ron Hunt. Those are some of the people who all contributed to that just that scene we saw right there. Okay, so Troy, take it away now. Tell us about, this editing process. Did I look at in awe because you will shoot and you will deliver 45 minutes later that joint's done and you on to the next?
I was literally just going to say that. I've been on many sets with Troy, and I've also worked with many editors. Troy will come to the production, shoot, and then edit and have project within the same day. I mean, he is just that fast. It is absolutely amazing. So I'm so glad to hear you. Yeah, share some secrets.
My mother attributes it to the fact that that side of our family's surname is Rush.
Oh, yes.
So, so she says the Rush family is they go about it.
Yes.
I had to sit here and think, do I really love editing, or is it something that I've gotten good at and it's part of the process? And as I look through it and I think about it, I didn't, when I first came into just appreciating video production, I didn't have access to anything. I didn't know it existed. And so when I was in the Air Force, many years ago, I financed a camera from a furniture store. And there was no editing. It was just, you put a VCR tape inside of the tape. So I had to do a lot of in-camera editing. Yeah. So when I had this idea about a story, I had to form the story because there was no going back to it. And I've been looking at some of my old stuff, like I would take a trip, and that was the only thing that was on that particular VCR tape, or this was Lishay's tape. So basically, my daughter Lishay, when she came to visit me in the summer of 91, I took a VCR tape, and put it in the camera. And if I was shooting about her, that's the tape that was in there. And even today is about keeping your content organized. What I'm more proud of, Maxie, is not the fast editing, but the ability to find content fast to enable me to pull off a project quick, and that is just based on how what's called log all of my content. And so as I
get your screen share, I see your screen share dropped. Are you ready to share it now?
Okay.
No, your screen share on your desktop.
Yeah, but I'm okay. Yes. So,
okay.
So let me see. Which one do I want to start first? I want to share a folder that I have not done anything to. And so, like when people ask me about editing, when I teach people how to edit, they want to go straight to the edit. And there are so many steps before the edit that, and one of them being dumping your footage. And my recommendation is you dump it the day of the production or as fast as you can. And then also that you name it so that you don't forget what it is.
Can we get your desktop, Troy? Because we don't. It dropped down from this. So we got the second cameras back up, the studio camera. But yeah, we want to get your desktop up if we can.
Tamara, I'm in a course. If you can text me, that'd be great.
Okay, somebody just dropped.
Okay. All right. Live television. Thank you, dear, for being quick with the mute button.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So let's just get your desktop up, Troy, and we want to go ahead and see how your folder system and how you're doing these organizing of this media. All right, dear, if we can go ahead and bring Troy
to stream.
Thank you. All right, cool. We now have your screen up, Troy. All right, you're muted. We lost your audio. You're muted, Troy.
All right, here we go.
All right.
So right now, this is a folder, if you can see that, called Troy Story King Osmo. Now, what does that mean? Nothing to you, but it means a lot to me, because I know that a Troy Story is a series of videos that I like to do that tell a story from behind the scenes, right? King is the person who shot it, a good friend of my production buddy, and he shot it with what? An Osmo. Here is the Osmo. That's the Osmo. In fact, And this camera is a miracle worker, right? This camera is a miracle worker because it's small, and I'm a big guy, right? It's small. It has attachments that, and it's a gimbal, meaning that it gives you stable shots. Just a wonderful camera that we'll talk about at another time. Beautiful camera, 4K, less than $400.
So basically, you're naming your folder based on the person who shot it and the camera, and any other. What other was the other variable?
For that one, it was basically the story.
Oh, the name of the project. So the name of the project, the camera operator, and then the which camera it was in that case.
Yes.
All right.
You go ahead, share my screen again.
That'd be great.
Yeah. It dropped down for some reason, Troy.
Okay, cool. Let me open it up.
Lose the studio camera there, and then we'll have the slot there.
Copy that.
All right, let's hit share. Here we go.
Okay.
That's what that was called. If you look at this one, it's KK spin class, and that's basically a class that I shot that was a spin. And what do you see?
We're seeing the Finder screen.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So we're seeing your folder structure. All right. So which class, which video we're going to be seeing here, and then in your timeline as well.
Okay. So the spin class. So let's go back to the Troy story.
Mm-hmm.
And the Troy story is right here. Okay. So you notice the file name say DJI and whatever the file name is. And then down here, it has a different wording, content, small camera, meaning that's what I talked about on that one. Mm-hmm. This one, DJI ding-a-ling. That's a keyword for something that I said that was quite funny to me or memorable. And so what I do is I go in here and I rename all of these, because what happens is the camera spit these files out, in a just sequential number, right? And if you just let this go, and you go back and try to find this on these multiple hard drives, you're going to be lost and you're going to lose a lot of footage. You're going to spend a lot of time looking for footage.
How soon do you begin to rename at what point do you begin to rename your files?
If it's a paid gig that I do it right away, right? This is just something that me and King did, and it was part inside of another gig, and I just did it. So let me see.
So you're basically tagging and renaming the files so you can find them easy, even before you import them into your editing system. Yes.
Now, there was a situation where, back in the day, 3 or 4 years ago, where you needed a different app to rename everything. So now it's built into the Apple operating system. So basically, you just go in and select all, right click, and rename 23 items, right? Mm-hmm. And so what are you going to replace? Find DJI, right? And so if you look at this, what it says OG Monday _ iPhone BTS. OG was a project that I'm shooting called the Origin Band, the OG band, basically. Monday was the day I shot it, _ iPhone was the camera, BTS was what it was. Mm-hmm. So right now, if you look at the example underneath, it will rename it to that, but that's not what I want.
So we're still just saying Finder, or should we be saying anything else?
Oh, okay. I guess I'm sharing the wrong screen. Hold on a second. I thought I was doing good. Hold on a second. I'm gonna share a different screen.
All right.
And I want to say, for those who are now joining us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and across social media, you're watching the Super Live Producers 12-week training and certification program on live streaming and web video. Today, we have lead instructor Troy Nalls, who's sharing his secrets for shooting and editing. Today, our specific focus, though, is on post-production. So if you're familiar with some of the editing apps we shared in our previous lessons, today we're showing you how to interface stories with those apps in a way that is organized and efficient. So Troy is sharing his secrets. I'm here also with Super Live producers, founder Maxie Collier, and my name is Schatar Safira Collier. So Troy was just sharing the secrets of how he names his files to keep them organized. And I know that this is something that can save you a lot of time in the future should you choose to incorporate his system and see how it works for you. So let's take a look. Bringing Troy's screen share in to the stream.
All right, wonderful.
Cool. And tell me what you can see.
All right, we see everything now.
Okay, so DJI. So right now, like I was saying, is that these cameras spit it out. DJI is the type of camera, and the number of clips are sequential. And then you'll see like something like content small camera. That's something that I said in that, and I didn't want to forget about it, and I tagged it, right? And then this one, DJI_Dingaling, is just my twisted sense of humor, right? And so I go in here. This process, what I'm about to do, used to be, something that you had to get an app for. Now, within the Mac operating system, you could just select all, and then right click, and it says rename 23 items, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you look at it right now, the last thing I did, if you look at find, I'm going to find DJI, replace with. Right now it says OG Monday _iPhone BTS, meaning I did a project with a band called Origin Band. That's OG. That means something to me. Monday was the day I shot it because I shot it over a week. _iPhone is the camera I used. And BTS means behind the scenes, right? But that's not what I want. But it will show you an example of what you're going to get right below. But what I want is, this is a Troy story. So I might say Troy story. And that's enough for me. But, I might say, okay, Osmo. But since we shot this with one camera, I don't care if I know the camera. I want to say Troy story, and I'll say Santa Monica. That's where I shot it. Mm-hmm. And boom.
All right, so now it's a bulk editing that allows you to rename everything and but still keep the sequential numbering, so it's all in order there in the order it was shot.
Yeah, and the reason I leave the numbers on, and I'll show you a different one, is because you may shoot with multiple cameras, right? And every camera has a different number system, but you might have 2 iPhones, you might have 2 Osmos, and a lot of times you can go in there and just search by the number. So it just gives you another tag. Say, you know what? I know this clip is 0027. So let me look for 0027. And it'll put up every 0027 you have on that hard drive or on that machine.
And so you usually, your organizing system, do you think of it ahead of time? Do you write it down, or do you do it? What sort of structure do you have to this? If you were teaching an assistant editor or someone how to do this?
So
yes.
On a project, basically, we determine what the name of that project is going to be when we start, right? And so the way this process is formed is I form it where someone else can do the dumping of the footage, because that might take an hour, right? And so say, okay, here's a card. Take a card, and then they're able to format. And then I don't delete SD cards while I'm on set. I don't really delete the content off the SD card until I deliver the first tape, just in case I have a corrupt file. Because right now, what I miss about tape, Maxie, is you got the tapes. Yeah. But I made a couple of mistakes where I've deleted cards before I got the content off, or I couldn't find the content and the card's been deleted. So I get high capacity cards, meaning more than I'm going to shoot, 256K, 132, I think. Because like if you look at this folder is 9 gigs, 8.92 gigs. And I shot that on the 256 card. So I can afford to leave that content on a card for a while.
So you treat it like a camera reel or a tape. You basically treat each like a master source archived versus the shooting on the media, dragging it to the hard drive, and then reshooting with that media. When you can, you try to treat your source as source media. Yeah,
I try to keep it as long as I can, or at least until I deliver the first project. So now I'm going to dig into a different folder. So that was fairly simple, right? Because it was just a series of videos, and I don't know if you can see these videos, but it's basically me walking down the beach in Santa Monica.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can see them.
Yes.
You all right?
Yes.
And so like this one, content, you might hear King ask me a question.
So what sort of advice would you have for people who call themselves content creators?
The content game has changed, right? And
you have a live one, wireless live one?
So, yes, and so that's very important. It's very important to have a live mic on, because what looks like a simple video becomes a high quality video because the audio is so good and clean and clear. It becomes more engaging. And Anthony Artist told me a long time ago that audio is more important than video. And I believe him, because there's tricks you can do with a video, but like he says in his words, when you have bad audio, you've just put your project on a one-way bus to Stink Town. That's Anthony Artist all day long. And so yes, that camera, the new Osmo 2 has a feature where you can it has a built-in mic in the camera body, and you can buy the lav mic for it. Wonderful investment. Wonderful investment for 500. Everything under $500, or $500.
Okay, so now you've got your clips organized. You've organized your folders, and you're organizing your folders based upon the number of cameras, the location, and the project information. Then you're going within the folders, and you're beginning renaming your clips within there.
So let me show you that there's a two-part process to this. So let me find one that's not all the way ready. Let's say.
Okay, take 1 second, dear. Can you share my screen real quick? I want to show this other amazing software that we're testing out right now. Okay, so this program, you guys, is called Descript. Descript. So Descript is a state-of-the-art editing program, and all of these techniques that Troy is having to do to organize his media take a whole nother turn when we're using some of these programs like this. So what Descript allows us to do, again, you can go to descript.com and download the program. It allows you to drag a recorded video up into the program where the Descript transcribes it into text, like we see right here. And then now again, it's about 90% to 95% perfect. I mean, error rate, and we go back in and we begin to clean up. But here's the thing: once it's in this text form like this, not only can you bounce around and super easily begin to find information, you can edit your video by editing the text here. So if we delete this word right here, it's going to be deleted from the video.
Wow.
Now check this out. It's got software that will allow us to go through and remove every and out of here. I can click this right here, remove filler words, and look what it's going to go through and find. Every replication word, every and thing, and you're able to refine it. So if we're editing, and again, we're bringing some secrets from the lab to you guys.
Man, so if you take so much time and effort, because part of my editing process is I go through and cut all the ums and ahs out of the audio first before I add the B-roll, and that determines where my B-roll goes. So for something like this, if I could put a clip in there from 2 or 3, the reason I shoot with 2 cameras or 3 cameras on interviews is so I can get rid of the ums and the ahs.
So look at this right here. It lets us choose. Do I want to get the out, the 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 and in the case of hip hop video, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
We have, you know what I'm saying?
Can we scroll down a bit so they can see the audio waveforms at the bottom and how the words are matched there? See right there on the page, for those of you who know audio editing, the audio waveforms are right there on the page, and you see the word directly above the waveform. So you can cut a piece out. If you're doing the audio editing, you're cutting the audio waveform, it will remove that word for you. It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to fit it to the screen, but Troy, check this out. They just added this feature too. It will export this file now to Adobe Premiere and Final Cut.
Wow.
So now we are able to use this program as an assistant editor. And if the transcription was all artificial intelligence right now. However, it has a concierge service in here where you pay $2 per minute. So they have a human go behind it and clean up everything. And it renames the speakers. So now you're getting your file with the speakers identified, everything cleaned up. You come in here, you use these filters, and it's going to remove your ums and your ahs. And now you're going to have all sorts of jump cuts in your file, but you just come right up here, you click export, and you go export this joint right here to Final Cut Pro, to Adobe Premiere. Now, every clip, everything in your timeline is going to open up as its own track and as its own clip. This is literally an assistant editing program. This is what people get paid hundreds of dollars to do, to synchronize media, to organize it in the folders, and to go through the transcription. You know, right now you can go to descript.com, download this program, and begin to experiment with it, no cost. And we're going to do a complete lesson on this program alone on Super Live Producer. So I just wanted to bring that up, Troy, while you were, getting those things situated, because look at where this stuff is.
I think that I would have shared that tip in 2021. I would have held that one. That is worth our mission.
Well, the key, and you're right, but the key is all these lessons, we keep them up here for 1 week, and then they go live in our Super Live Producer. Yes, that is a competitive, and mastering that program. There is 3 or 4 business models just in that program. If you want to do podcast editing, there is no better way to get into podcast editing than using that software right there.
Exactly.
But again, that's why we're going to do a whole separate lesson on that one.
Cool.
Right.
Am I still sharing my screen?
Yep, we'll bring it up now.
So I want to go into a couple of courses, So here's one, KK Spin Class. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so basically, Level Up, that's just the music for the video I cut. And so Action is a camera, Galaxy is the camera, Osmo 2 is a camera. Make sense?
Yes.
And so in the Action, K Action and the number. On the Galaxy, K Gal. That lets me know while I'm editing what camera angle that I want to use, because I'm intimate with this content already, because I've already, and then the Osmo 2, I've already looked at each piece of this content. I've looked at it. I know where it's at. But in my edit, the way I'm able to edit fast is because I take the time to organize this. Abe Lincoln has a quote saying that if I had 6 hours to cut down a tree, I spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. And this is what, for me, is sharpening the axe. Because one thing that's hard about editing is if you don't have your content organized, you may know that you shot something, but if you don't have a system by where, hey man, I shot this on the Osmo, right? And it was kind of towards the end of the shoot, right? So I go in here and look at when it was created, right? And so, I started at 3:24 and I finished at 4:37. I shot it on the Osmo 2 and it was near the end of the day. And so all this metadata is also in your editing software. And so even with the sequential numbers, if you know you shot it at the end of the shoot and your beginning is 0183 and your last is 0026, that just tells me that of the 23 files or whatever amount of files that I shot, in my mind, is towards the end. And that's why I leave the numbers on there to let me know what order I shot this content in.
Now, if you have a budget, if you have the right budget, then that's when we bring in assistant camera operators. That's when we bring in script supervisors. That's when we bring in assistant directors, and they make notes on these things as we're shooting.
When I'm on a corporate set, when I say budget, how about budgeted? I have a what you call a script supervisor who is taking notes based on what was said, and it's real free form. I've been on sets where it was very succinct, but like in this interview, so back to my in-camera editing, right? And so when I'm interviewing a person, I ask them a question, they answer it, and I cut on all cameras. Why? Because I'm editing in my head. That 3-minute conversation is a clip. And I have it on 2 or 3 cameras. And the person who I have with me, what did they say on clip 1 of this shoot? They said these things. Okay, well, cut. I don't like to go out. I work with a lot of people who will just let the cameras run for an hour. And guess what you got to do for an hour? You got to go look for all that content, right? But I know if we had 5 3-minute answers, if I have 5 3-minute answers, I know that, okay, clip 3, minute 3, they said this, and here we go. And that's why I cut, and that's me. That's an edit inside the camera. Now, This was a simple shoot. It was a simple video. I'll probably pull it up. It'll probably be the video that I re-edit, right? This was a shoot that was long, okay? The Origin doc. It's a documentary about a band called Origin, right? And so if you look right in this folder, I have 9 folders, really 10. You have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have Dell podcast, meaning Delaware podcast. I did a Philadelphia podcast. Then you have 8, which is archives, and 9, which is performance videos. 2 things I didn't shoot, okay? So I want you to pay attention when I open up Thursday, the difference between and what I'm saying on something that's complicated. Because when you put it into Final Cut, it looks for keywords, right? And so if I shot Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I shot on an Osmo, and I tag it as an Osmo inside the folder like I did on the last one, it's going to give me 5 Osmo keywords. Okay. And so I guess use this process, but then I take all the cameras from Thursday and I put them inside of one folder. So all I'm looking for is Thursday, because I know I shot this on Thursday. But let me open up Thursday and you can see, okay, Thursday's not a good day because that was the first day. Let's go to Saturday, actually Sunday, right? And so you have the Osmo 2 on that one. You have the Note, which was a camera. You have the Osmo right here as well. You have Adam, who the subject was, and INT means interview. INT means interview. So here you got OG Sunday, Osmo, Big L, that's his name, interview. So I know when I click on that, that is an interview.
I was doing billing and filing,
right?
And so at what point in your workflow did you rename these files? Because again, if there's a budget, then there's going to be assistant camera, assistant editor, or a DIT, or someone on set, and that's what they're doing. They're renaming these files, they're organizing these folders, and they're backing it up on set to protect it, in real time.
If there's a budget, that's happening real time. So when we did the gig at the Super Bowl, and not in real time, these cameras operate on batteries, and there's a specific amount of space on each card. And so when we have breaks based on what the activity is on set, we take the batteries out and refresh the batteries, and we take the cards and hand them to the person who's dumping onto the hard drive, right? But we already have the process of what everything is. So, okay, today is Saturday. Okay, dump everything for Saturday. We might not name it on set right there, but we put them in folders in such a way that when we get back to the hotel, because every camera has a different file naming system, and you can recognize that file naming system. So look, this is just Sunday. So if you look at those files, there's hundreds of files. Every one of them, I know where it's at. OG, that's the project. Sunday, Adam, BTS on the Note. The Note is just a camera that someone was in the back taking pictures just behind the scenes. And some of this stuff we'll never use. OG, Sunday, Franklin. Franklin was the location. BTS is a Franklin Bridge on the Note. This is the drone. This is the Philadelphia drone. I love King's drone work. And he's aggressive. And what I mean by that is
he means standing in the middle of the street and shoot the drone. Go ahead. That's a beautiful shot, man.
Ain't it? And then what he did, and the reason I use King is because King has a really fresh eye. And what I mean by fresh eye, I've been accused by my son and other that I got an old eye, right? And so sometimes you got to bring the younger, more creative videographers in. Because like for young people, they looking at different things. They need things to move a lot faster. But King is he's not younger than me, he's maybe 5 or 6 years, but he's a graphic artist. He sees the world differently. And so his work is different than my work. One of the things he did that was pretty cool, Maxie, and hopefully it's in this folder. I'm trying to see what we did it Sunday. We put the drone. Oh, I got to show you this video. Okay. I want to open this whole documentary with this video. It's a drone shot of what I call Black Girl Joy, of one of the guy's daughters dancing, doing the TikTok dancing. And this is her dancing to his drone. And it is so beautiful that I watch it all the time. And she is, just happy to be in front of the drone. And King is controlling that thing, making sure he's not hitting it, he's moving it well. And she is she is, you know,
Mhm.
she is enjoying herself. And she hit. And that to me, it was just beautiful. But what King did was he took the drone, turned it on, and set it on the dashboard. And we drove. And it just got some shots and imagery that you just don't normally get. And that's a drone sitting on the dashboard of our car of downtown Philadelphia. Anyone who's familiar with Philadelphia, that's the City Hall on Broad Street. So it was beautiful.
Lovely.
So that's Sunday, right? But I have that level of detail on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then the Delaware podcast was just a podcast we did in Delaware that has the different angles that we shot and B-roll, different B-roll. So it says, you know, Thursday Osmo B-roll. And so now in the editing process, when I go over to the editing software, you see I put the keyword, I click on the Thursday folder and put the word B-roll on there, and it's just pulling up the B-roll. Mm-hmm. And so the organizational part is very important and is made my editing, like when I was fast before, because I shot everything. I'm not shooting everything now, but now it's so fast. It's like, okay, I need a shot. I need a drone shot. I need this shot. I need a BTS shot. I can turn it. I can turn faster because I've shot to edit. I don't do a lot of overshooting. I work with a lot of people who just shoot concepts and ideas. In my mind, I want 80% of what I shot to show up.
Well, I was going to ask you, in terms of clients who deliver footage that they shot, how do you go about attacking it to organize it when you weren't there on set, or if you weren't, the DP?
Excellent question.
Let me see. I'm gonna stop this so you can see my face when I say this.
Here we go.
My preference is to not edit a project that I was not part of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know that's as editor, people edit and they're editors for a reason. But unless it's Maxie and Schatar and you guys send it over with great instructions and you send it over with angles and expectations, it doesn't work very well because people have an idea. Normally the person whose project it is, they hired a crew to shoot it, right? So they have an idea, they relate it to the camera crew. And if I'm unrelated to that crew, I don't know what their vision was, right? And I've done projects like that. But I have edited things that I was related to the crew, like someone like you guys shoot it and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is the pace we're looking for. This is the energy we're looking for. Boom, here we go.
Okay,
yes.
So you've got everything.
Ask this question. Wayne had a question. Was a planning spreadsheet of shots, camera angle, or were these shots spontaneous then organized? It's a little bit of both for me. It's a little bit. As a documentary film shooter, I'm not into I don't do weddings for reasons, right? Because weddings are about fantasy. So it's okay. I want you to walk over there and touch that butterfly and then turn around and look in your wife's eye and then kiss her. That's not natural for me. So I'm gonna be like, man, that ain't what I'm trying to do. I let the story unfold based on what we said the story was, what we focused on, and camera angles for my project now. I'm trying to get coverage, right? I'm trying to make sure that with these small foreign cameras that I get as much coverage so I have options when I'm editing. And so do we use a planning spreadsheet? If you're working with Maxie and Schatar, you're going to be using a planning spreadsheet, right?
Or index cards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But with us, we get together and we powwow and say, okay, this is what we want. This is what we want to see. And here is how we're going to get there. Here's a couple of angles. We want to try that angle. How's that one look? That looks cool. Okay, is the audio good? Cool, let's go. And then let things happen. And when I'm telling you in real life, I've been on, not just one shoot, but any shoot, something happens. And as long as we're there and we're rolling, we can get it. Something you couldn't plan for happens. Mm-hmm. But you want to control everything you control. You want to make sure your batteries are good, your lighting's good, your audio's good, and you're staying true to the story. What a lot of people will do is they will go off the story looking for other stories in the event. Maybe we'll use this time. And what happens, that creates more time. What happens is a project you should have spent a week on, you'll spend a month on or even a year on trying to get it right.
Shoot, you know, I know. Okay, so let's talk about the techniques. Now you've got your folders organized and you've got your media organized. Are you making notes along the way about your editorial direction? Are you making mental notes? You know, how are you accumulating? How are you beginning to think how you're going to structure it in your timeline?
So depending on what it is, so when I share my screen, I'm gonna go ahead and go into a video shoot I did for a young lady who had a spin class. Okay, and what she wanted was a high energy video that made people want to come to a spin class, right? And with that, that's where I take my direction, and I'm making sure I'm capturing the shots that will allow for me to tell that story in a way that makes people, you know, want to make the action they want, right? You know, you have other videos that, you know, people want to have these human interest stories. That's not what this is. There's no speaking parts in this video. I'm gonna open it up and share my screen.
And do they usually write down their goals to you? Does it come from conversation? How do you get the client's goals? You know, how are you ascertaining their goals?
So I have a process whereby we have a meeting, and I have a form that they fill out. We talk about it together, because you gotta realize most people who hire you to create or do a video have never done a video, and they may have ideas that they see that that's not how it works, or they're trying to do something that they've seen that may not necessarily be the best thing for them. And I'm not one who thinks the customer is always right? But you give them exactly what they asked for, right? And some people have gotten inferior products, and I was able to go back and show the form that they filled out and say, well, this is exactly what you wanted. So if you hired me, I got a quote from the iPhone guy. Who created the iPhone? Steve Jobs. And he says, we don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. You know what I'm saying?
We've been hearing that a lot lately.
Yeah. So when you hire me, the first question I ask is, do you trust me? Because you have to trust me with your vision, right? And so it's my job to figure out what your objective is. And what I mean by that is I have a questionnaire that says, okay, what do you want to see? What at the end of the day, and this is why I tell people I'm not a video producer per se. I'm a solutions provider. It's like at the end of the day, what do you want to do? I want to sell more dresses or sell more this or sell more that. Okay, because okay, well, here's the video. Now we have to figure out what the distribution of that video is, where you're going to make the ads. There's so many different things. The video is just like the beginning, right? And so, but again, that form basically asks 3 questions, and I want 3 answers. So what are the top 3 things you want people to know about your project or product? What are the top 3 objections that you often run into where people don't understand? And what are the top 3 things you wish people knew and didn't know? And out of those 9 questions, I can form up a narrative that has people thinking that you are talking directly to them. Like, you ever been to church and you feel like the pastor is talking straight to you? He's not. The reason is he knows his people, right? And if you go to church and you talk about stress, you talk about the kids, you talk about the economy, you talk about these 3 or 4 things that everyone is dealing with, it's like, man, it was like he was talking right to me. So let's talk about the objections. Let's say for me, I'm a video producer. Many people believe that video production is very expensive. But what we found is that if you buy small form cameras and you do this, and this, you can do that. Now I've overcome an objection that wasn't even an objection yet. So now in your mind, you think I'm brilliant. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So in the sales process, backing up, you have to overcome objections before they become objections, right? It's called showing your warts, right? So with the clients, I'm saying, okay, spin class. Well, many people believe that, you know, they can't spin because it's hard. But what they'll find is when they come through here, there's levels to it and you can take your own breaks. Well, no one asked you that, right? But they're thinking that. You know they're thinking that because you're dealing with your demographic or your people, because people in class like, man, you know, I asked them, how long did it take you to get to this point where you can finish this class? Man, about 2 or 3 weeks before I can finish the class, right? And so the person, the client, they know, but you got to be able to ask the right questions and help them get inside their brain and like, man, I never thought about it like that. Well, yes. And that's how I help a client figure out what they want when they've never done this before.
So you're anticipating, and so you're listening, and then you're anticipating as well.
Yeah. So it's like if you think of any client you have, right? Or anybody, think of any client that you have, they know that industry better than you do, right? They don't know your industry, but they know theirs. And so what you have to do is talk to them and figure out what the main pain points they're trying to solve are. And then you have to put them in a way that makes it seem like they knew exactly what you were thinking. You know what I'm saying? And it makes them look smarter. And people wonder like, man, that video spoke to me. Yes, because it spoke to the person it was supposed to speak to. Well, I only got 150 views, but you got 7 clients, right? You don't care about the 100,000 views if you don't get clients you wanted. And so for me, I measure by how effective the video was, by how many people took the action you wanted them to take, whether it was to call, email, or do anything of that nature.
So you're keeping that's in the initial conversation, and that's in front of mind through the shooting process. And now here we are at the editing process. And you've organized your footage. You know the goals in mind. What's the next stage is to turn that raw footage to achieve the goals.
Here we go. We're going to share this screen.
All right.
Waiting screen share.
And let me know if you see the final cut.
Screen share coming in.
Yep, we see final cut.
Cool. And so right now, I'm not going to try to teach Final Cut, but it's we have the you've seen the keywords, right? You've seen the keywords. They appear right over here. So if I want to look at the action, those are all the action shots.
Mm-hmm. And so that's just based on you importing the media into Final Cut and it picking up the way you tag those clips.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it again just to show you. So new,
okay.
I'm gonna call this SLS. And boom. So I got a whole new project. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me event SLS. I'm just so I can just hurry up. I'll just do SLS. So you see it right here, SLS.
Yep.
Yeah. People. Final Cut. You go in here and you hit the import button. And you look at all your different things you want to import. You find it like that. That's not how I do it. I just go here and I take the folder, which I meticulously make sure it's fine, and I take the contents of that folder and I drag it over, and bammo, it does what I thought it was going to do.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Stuff.
Uh-huh.
Right? And so now. Now I got the Galaxy stuff. I got the text from my family. I got the Osmo stuff. Mm-hmm. So go back to the top of it, right? We're gonna create a high paced video based on what we've seen. So I'll go over here and I name it Spin Class. Right? Then I just go here and start looking at the videos, right? So I'm just hit my in key, out key, in key, out key, drop it down into the timeline. I don't even like try to figure it out. I'm just creating videos. That's 2 videos. I'm gonna take it, make it video only, because right now I added some audio in there that I want in there. So let's talk about the Galaxy camera. Boom. So
you just go through the timeline and you begin to assemble your shots.
I'm sorry because it's loud. I'm sorry. So in and out. So just finding interesting clips. That's a slow clip. I already know it. Finding interesting clips. Now, one of the cameras I had mounted on her bike, which was the Osmo 2 camera. I'm sorry, the action camera. Mm-hmm. And so I can see her face when she was riding. I did slow motion right here. Right? Boom.
So there's certain shots that you already have identified are going to be dramatic or effective, and you just going through and gathering those?
Yep. So she kept getting off the bike. I didn't plan on that. Right. So let me just add a couple of more shots to the video, and then we'll see what we have. So here's King doing his little B-roll thing, right? So he comes from behind the thing, boom, back shots. All right, and then King is a big guy, so he did some shots where he stood up over the people, and he had his camera on a stick basically. And he was able to get high up in the air. Let me see, I think he did that on the Osmo. So I'm just gonna do the video from right here, right?
Okay.
So then I'll take and put the music on there. This is Level Up by Sierra. It's the karaoke version, so it's not a licensing thing you're gonna have to deal with. And I'll just go here, and then I use my DJ skills to see. So I already see this sound thing, so I know where that sound peak is. That's a hit. I know that's a hit.
So you're using the waveform in order to line up your shots, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that's a hit. I'm shortening the video, but hey, I can go back and add in some stuff in. I'm gonna do a triple hit right there, meaning I took 1, 2, 3 of them, and then I'm gonna just take a piece from here and move it right there, just so I can see that it's
and basically, you're doing with a lot of these apps that make music videos for people. It takes the beat, and then it looks for the waveform, and then it matches the picture to it. So you're doing it the manual way, and visually eyeballing where things are happening in that musical track.
So look, we got a 39-second video, right? Y'all ready for it?
Yep.
So we should hit it. Without further ado, hold on a second. I thought I was going to do my applause. Here we go. I'm gonna watch it in the timeline. Watch it in the timeline, because if I normally watch it full screen, right? But if we watch it in the timeline, you can see the playhead, which is right here, moving along, right? And so that's important to see where everything is. I'm gonna turn this music down a little bit because I know it's gonna be high. Just turn it down.
Now, normally, do you do an assembly and a rough cut and then go back and look for additional shots, or do you look for all your shots from the beginning and then just try to work them in?
Well, basically, as I'm going through and I am logging, I'm identifying and seeing shots that I like, right? And so in the editing process, so let's say if I wanted to see 4 or 5 shots that I like. So what, I really like this shot of this water, right? I'll set the in and out point, right? And that's what that means. And then in Final Cut, I hit F for favorite, and it puts a little green line on there. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Go to 1. I'll go to 3 more. I put right there. Boom. Favorite. Go here. In, out. Favorite. Go to another camera. I just want to show you how flexible it is.
Yeah. So we used to call that marking our selects.
Yeah.
So pulling our selects. So, from amongst all those options that you have there, you're going through and identifying, tagging, or marking which ones are your preferred ones.
So right here, when I drop down, go ahead, Schatar.
And looking at your technique, because in doing some of the editing, sometimes I'll easily have 100 tracks, so 50 on the video and then 50 on the audio. So doing it with this technique, how many visual tracks do you find that you have for video and then for audio?
In Final Cut, I love it because it's right now you look in there and there's like 13 cuts in there, and you have one source of audio, right? I don't have to do the whole music bed. This is like a video. There's some that I have, hundreds of each. But as long as it's organized correctly, you can find it. Because one thing Final Cut has is something called an index. Going into the index, and it shows you right over here on the left in the timeline where everything is. And if you watch the timeline or the playhead, it's jumping to those parts wherever it is. So you're never at a loss for where you're at in the editing process.
Hey, can you pull up in your Adobe Premiere in one of your windows, and let's bring up one of your timelines at some point too.
Sure.
And so right now, I can click on favorites. Those things so those 5 clips, or the clips that I selected to be favorites. So how I get it from hundreds down to 20 or 30 is by looking at them and adding the favorites. But while she's doing that, I want to go ahead and look at the video. Y'all ready to look at the video?
Yep. And Ardell asked, he said, do you cut your transitions on the snare or on the downbeat?
I'm a snare guy, but it just depends on what it calls for. But what I like to do is, as it's starting to get predictable, I like to flip it up and do every other beat, or let it ride.
Take it to the bridge.
Yeah, but what I find is, like, I haven't looked at this video, and I know these parts here look long, but for some reason, man, they always get close. And I think it's just my years of being a DJ. All right. Help me. So, you ready?
Yep.
So I'm gonna look at it full screen. So here we go. Uh-oh. Yeah, there we go. So there we go.
And that's just an assembly that you did in 10 minutes.
I didn't. You seen it? I didn't do nothing before I got on here to deal with this. And when I was looking at it, man, I don't know if I do it so much, but she was kind of on beat.
Yeah.
So let me show you the one I sent to her. The one that I sent to her is 1 minute long, and I think I sent this one. Well, I tell you what.
And I was going to ask, do you plan your titles? Do you plan your titles and credits? Like, at what point do you plan where your titles and credits are going to go in?
As I need them. Like a lower third explaining who this person is or that, and it just depends on what the text needs of the project hold. So y'all ready? 1 minute video. This is the one. This one probably took, if that one took, that many minutes, this one probably took an hour, start to finish, massaging, some transitions. I don't like to overdo the transitions. And then Ardell can tell me if I'm cutting on the snare or the downbeat on this particular one. And so this is a minute. I'm gonna actually leave the playhead just so you can see how I watched these videos the first time.
Did it freeze?
That was great, though. That was great.
Are you frozen, Troy?
I think you might be.
Yeah, if so, you may need to exit and come back into the studio. That was fantastic. That was dope.
Yes.
And so yes, Troy, exit the studio and then come back in, and we'll be able to hear you. Dear, you want to bring up your timeline?
Sure, and how he was able to do that with such a swift pace. I mean, we had a 39-second video in how many minutes? We'll be able to see it here in the timeline. So I'm going to bring up one of my Adobe Premiere Pro timelines, and this is a promo. But as far as the tracks, we have a video track here and then an audio track here. So anything above this line, everything is video, and then below, everything is audio. These video tracks can easily stack up to 50 tracks high, and then audio as well. An organizing system that we use, we'll put our primary tracks here at tracks 1 and 2. Same thing with audio. You can place your voiceover there, your underscore at specific tracks, and then your voiceover at specific tracks, so that when you're muting or bringing them in full, you'll know exactly where they are.
And then, in terms of organizing your media, what are some of the techniques that you use in order to organize your media? There we go,
Absolutely.
Troy's
So
back.
yes, hi. And when we're on set, we definitely work with a DIT who can grab the information and upload it. And if we are doing it ourselves, we'll make sure to grab it and upload it immediately so we have a backup. So we do not lose footage if we can help it on set. And then to organize everything, we keep exactly the same way that he did. So the numbers, we keep the numbers of the files so that they're all in chronological order. That way, you know, at the beginning of the shoot are the lower numbers, and then towards the end of the shoot are the higher numbers. You're able to jump around chronologically just by looking at the numbers. And then at the end, we'll put that specific note. So as he was saying, which camera it is, the location, who is shooting, we will definitely put whether it's A cam, B cam, or C cam, whose footage it is, we'll put the name on it, and then we'll put what it is, a great shot, or don't use, or extra, or keep the shot, or primary. And that way we have a filing system just in the name of the file alone. And Troy, you did that so beautifully. And then the final cut was able to bring that in. That was great.
Troy, can you share your screen again and just see if there's any? So because you froze right at the end of it. So I don't know if I don't know if we saw the call to action on it.
Okay.
Awaiting screen share.
Okay, cool.
And while it's coming up, we do have comments and questions in the chat. You've gotten most of them, but Wayne did ask, Troy, are you listening to custom in-ear monitors?
Yeah, I answered that question.
He answered that at the top. Yeah.
And no, they're not custom. Their monitors are bought on in-ear. They're called in-ears. I bought on Amazon for $40 or so.
All right, cool. So Troy, so did you deliver this to the client yet?
Yes, they've already posted it, tagged me in it, and the people loved it. You got to understand who you're speaking to. These were, 30-something-year-old women who are into fitness, and they like that fast pace. Yeah, they loved it. They absolutely loved it.
And now
that was great.
Yes. How are you delivering it? Are you usually like, are people still getting any physical? Are you still doing any DVDs or is it thumb drive? Are you uploading the file? What's your deliverable like nowadays? And are people getting closed captioning with these also?
No, these videos were specifically, and we have another one in production for Instagram. It was a minute. We have one for Facebook with more of an interview in it. You're not getting any closed caption. I don't have any physical media DVD anymore. No one's asking for it. But these files are exported and they are delivered via Dropbox. And they make their requests and their changes. I've used softwares before where you can make community changes, but I just didn't have enough traction or people who were willing to use that. It was something, I forgot the name of it, but Sid turned me on to it.
What is that one there? Yes, Frame.io. Yeah, Frame.io.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. They've changed a lot since I was on it. But no, I normally export this. Sometimes I've done it where I put it on a private YouTube link and send it. But for the most part, I export to Dropbox. That's pretty much the acceptable form of file transfer, retransfer, box.net. So that's how I deliver the file.
And do you ever use special effects? And can you talk about your transition, your approach? That one was a lot of cuts. Are there ever times where you do, specialized transitions, or what are some of your strategies for special effects and transitions?
Well, the younger they are, the more, the smaller or shorter their attention span, and the more transitions and jumping around and the screen got to do backflips and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If a person's looking at the video on their phone, they're leaning back like this, they're older and they need a little bit slower pacing. They want to see, materialize. So what I've learned is to deliver based on the demographic of how a person consumes content. Now, you sent a file to me about the average time a person looks at an IG video or on a phone or on a laptop. Like, you got to realize people are looking at this on a phone, right? And your phone is very distracting. You got notifications. So if your content is not engaging and fast moving and getting to the point, they're going to click over and get that notification from another social network. And so you just got to understand who your audience is as you create these, edit these projects.
Yeah. All right. Great. So let's see. Anything else we have here? Okay, we talked about music. How often do you have to do sound effects, editing, and things like that?
Well, just depends on the project. Documentaries, you do need some sound effects, and there's a lot of effects built into Final Cut. I also use a service called Audio Blocks that gives me unlicensed licensed music, and they have a lot of sound effects. And you can put in keywords such as jazz. I'm still sharing my screen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We could bring it back up. Can you bring it back up there? No, actually, it's yeah. You have to share it again.
Okay, cool. So share Audio Blocks.
We mentioned Audio Blocks. Yep, it's a wonderful resource. They have a full audio library where you can hear music samples, things you can use to make your music sound different. And I was recommending that people, when they are working with Audio Blocks, that you combine two different pieces. That way you're not using the exact same piece that someone else has. So maybe you'll do chimes at the open, and make it sound unique.
If you've done Schatar, go ahead.
Yeah. You'll hear commercials or you'll see videos all day long with things where the audio's coming from story blocks, and there's another one we use called Sound Stripe, so now it's at the point where you do kind of have to mix it up or change it up a little bit if you can, or else people are going to be able to deconstruct your video.
Yeah. Another thing I do is like if someone, especially the younger demographic, they want a song they hear by 2 Chainz or by Drake or whoever. And that'll get you in trouble with the licensing, right? But there's a lot of producers out there who know how to, and what they do is they post their videos of the exact production or as close as they can because they know the Drake sounds, they know the plugins that the producers are using. And in the producer community, they recreate, but that's not covered by the same copyright. So you can download those off of YouTube. So that song that I just played, what's called, I forgot what it's, Sierra song. You know the name of that Sierra song?
Level Up. Yes.
Level Up.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was not the Level Up that Sierra released. That was the Level Up that another producer created to show you that you should hire them because they can get close to this person's sound or that person's sound.
You mean kind of like the kicks that we used to get where it was the upside down Nike stripe instead of the
Yeah, like the FUBU, you get the boo-boo. You can also do SoundCloud stuff. You can also, buy tracks. There's sites where you can download tracks for. I bought like 30 tracks for like $12 on some Facebook ad that was following me around.
Yeah.
But like here on, I call it Audio Blocks, Story Blocks, because it used to just be audio, right? Mm-hmm. And so now you have, after you have music, sound effects, imagery. But let's go to sound effects, and it's like you type in car, and it would show you the big car drive away.
Mm-hmm.
You put in police, and if you need a siren, it just gives you these effects to enrich. Let's see, this police dispatch radio interior car voice clip middle-aged female. You know what that's gonna sound, right?
Exactly.
She didn't sound like a middle-aged female to me, but it was a tag that they put in there. And so that's all dispatch, siren interior car perspective. So what does the siren sound like inside the car? You might have a scene like on Be More Hacks from inside the car, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they think it sounds like inside the car, But when you have this, I use this system or this service. This costs me $15 a month. But for what I do, if I want music and I want corporate upbeat success, it's very clear that they think this is upbeat success. I can't tell you how many times and how many videos I've heard that song. And so I would never use that one. Don't use the one that come up first. Go to page 3.
Look, that sounds like me, dear. Change
another thing they like.
Yes.
What'd you say, Troy? They have loops, and basically loops. They have drum loops, and basically it's a say this is a loop. Oh, well, maybe not.
And the thing that's dope is that
story
Storyblocks is integrated into a lot of software. Like, so you can go to Canva and you can search for things. There's the Create app. There's a bunch of different editing applications that already have these audio and video blocks built into it. Which again, though, is why you want to be creative about using it, because otherwise you can start to sound like a royalty-free library.
Exactly. So you're able to look up and find the information that you want for the sound that you want, or even use it as inspiration to work with a musician to create the song for you as a custom song, or license it from another library as well.
That's what I did with my theme song for my podcast. I got the track from one person. I said, look, I wanted a West Coast. I wasn't specific. I got a North California sound. I wanted Southern, but I loved it.
Yes.
Until Four Eyes, what the podcast was about, and he wrote a verse it matched it up perfectly, and so it doesn't sound like anyone's. It doesn't sound like anyone's song that they're using, and so like that's my California hyphy sound. That the beat comes in, it sounds like something that was custom for me in E40 level beat. It's wide open, and I'm gonna let the beat drop right quick. Then I'll get off of it. That is West Coast all day.
And it's yours. It's yours.
Yeah. I'm done. I paid for the track. I paid 4 Eyes for the verse. Man. And then I faded out.
So from a business perspective, how should businesses plan for their post-production costs? What tips would you give a marketing director or a manager, as they begin to try to budget out and plan their editing costs and expenses related to their video?
For me, since I've done so much freelance and I'm the primary editor on most projects I do. Now I have been directing projects that I'm not editing, which has been amazing. Because as soon as I'm done, I'm done. So like I said, say if I did weddings, when I do video at a wedding, as soon as I leave, the work starts. But when I DJ, I'm done as soon as I leave. And in this market, the DJ makes just as much as the video crew or video person per se. But so for me, that's not a question that I'm really well versed in. I say look at the market and see what the hourly rate, the going rate for an editor. But at the same time, I don't like to charge by the hour, because what it used to take me 10 hours to do, I know how to do in an hour now, right? So if I told you my hourly rate was $100 and someone else said it was 25, that's not a fair comparison.
Yeah.
They might take 10 hours to do something that I might take 1, right? And so what I recommend for when I do mine, I base my mental editing rate at $75 an hour, and I estimate how long it's going to take me to edit this video, and I build in that there's going to be 2 rounds of changes. And so if I look at a project and I think, oh, this is going to take me 20 hours, I'm going to put 20 hours in this. So whatever 20 times 75, which I think is 1,500, that's what I put into post-production.
And that's a very fair number, especially when you're working with the teams and you're instructing your assistant editor. So if you're working with a business and they think, okay, they may not know what to expect for the editing, so they should, that they know that you have all of the people on your team, the person who's working as your DIT, the one who's gathering that information for you, as well as your assistant editor when you're working with one, the editor themselves, and then even after the editing, there's still the mixing and the mastering. So the color correction must be absolutely beautiful, and then the audio must be mixed accurately, because Troy, those shots that you've made, the videos that you are creating are absolutely beautiful. The sound, everything is wonderful. So in the mixing, the client has to know that mixing is a very key part of how you're getting that crystal clear sound. Even that can take a week, as I've mentioned, for one episode. It can take quite a bit of time. So those are all things to consider for you, the business owners who are out there who are saying, how can I do my video? If you're working with professionals, you have to understand that there may be this many people on the team, and then it takes this many days or hours to create that finished product that you're seeing on the screen.
And then as a freelance producer, you have to allocate sufficiently for that prep time for your editing. You have to remember to include that preparation time, and that amount of time scales up based upon the number of cameras and the number of talent and the number of setups. So you got to be prepared, for that prep. And again, typically we would have an assistant editor or a team of assistant editors and that's the whole purpose, that is to prepare that media, so when the editor sits down, they can get right into doing what they're doing best, looking for the story, looking for the pacing, looking for the timing, and everything. And if you are not about taking this on as a task yourself, if you do not want to become an editor, if you just want to learn how to manage editors, then in that case, there are editing services. There's even more editing services, than ever before. See, before, when we were looking for editors and post-productions, we'd have to go in, identify our project, get bids and proposals. And we still have to do that for a lot of the specialized work. But fortunately, there are services like Video Husky, like the Las Vegas-based Dang Video, that's dang.video, or videohusky.io. And in companies like this, you pay a flat monthly fee for a certain amount of editing time and services. So if you're creating podcasts or YouTube videos or regular content, you can use services like these to estimate your regular post-production expenses. And again, for promotional videos, it's great. For social media videos, it's wonderful. For e-learning videos. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do a documentary, or if I did do a documentary, I'd do it in little tiny pieces through something. But for folks who do not want to get into post-production themselves, just look up at one of these services right here, and they may lift that load off, for you.
Yes.
The guerrilla filmmaking model is a blessing and a curse.
Mm-hmm.
The people who trained me, Maxie Collier, Cliff McBean, Anthony Artis, it was about making sure that you weren't held hostage by your budget or by your vendors or your service providers, and you learn how to be good at every aspect of pre-production, production, and post-production, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not scalable, right? Yeah. And so what you have to do is learn the processes of how to put planning in place to bring other people who can handle areas better than you could, or at least up to 70% as well. So if they can do it up to 70% as good as you need to let that go so you can focus on what you get on. So people think I'm, good at editing. People think I'm good at shooting. I think I'm good at customer interface. I'm good at creating value in the mind of the customer. I'm good at being able to get the customer to unloose a check. And those other things I'm serviceable at because I've had to be. But the reason I have the team that I have right now is because they're excellent in their silos, but a lot of them don't have, or I won't say a lot of them, but some of them don't understand how to convey this messaging to a client and create the vision inside the head of a client that they add value and write a check. Because hey, if you're just a video guy and you're saying, oh, I charge this much per hour, and they got a nephew with a camera, right?
That's real.
There's a lot of people you see in the background. I'm in the conference room. You see my friend Majesty, my work buddy. She's in here working too. So we're very communal around here. And she ain't going over here to look at them because she just like to just keep her head down. So anyway, but so it's very important that as you build your team, you find people who are good at what they're good at. And, when I look at my team that includes Maxie and Schatar, they have a very good understanding of how all this thing works. They're serviceable in many areas, but what they're best at, in my opinion, is teaching, training, planning, budgeting, all the things that, that's not my forte, right? But if you ask Maxie to go out and shake 22 hands and get 20 proposals, he'll do it if he has to, right? And he's good at it, if you ask me. But he would prefer to do the things that he's doing right now, whereas I would prefer to go out and talk to people and make sure that we just kind of moving forward on a personal side and a social side. So it takes all other personality types. Unfortunately and fortunately, we've had to do them all. But now with a lot of these tools that Maxie's bringing up, and like even this tool, it allows us to, teach. And what I believe about teaching in this manner is you create your own disciples who get to a point where they know they may attract or have insight somewhere or favor with a particular client, a school district or something, but they may not be able to talk all the way talk. And if you're teaching them now, they can come get their OG and say, hey, look, I can do this, and then put them on the horn with Schatar and Maxie or myself or any of the others. And so that's why what I like about this tool. Now, we didn't have this before, and we were trying to do this in real time. It's kind of like the dating game. Back in the day when you were dating, you had to get dressed up, put your cologne on, and go out to the club and shoot your shot. Now you get right left. So that's what it's like, right? And you're able to identify the people who like you, and more importantly, the people you like. And if there's a match, boom, you move to the next level. Well, this is like that without the ChristianMingle.com or the Black People Meet. I don't know the name. I'm just thinking of Plenty of Fish. I heard about that one.
Yeah, you know, and we were talking last week, Troy, and I said, you know, what I realized is one of the strengths of us all working together is, you know, it's not the case of us all being in one circle, is we all have these circles, we all have our own orbits, and they're different. You know, as I told Troy, I said, you know, I'm the De La Soul crew. You know, he's the NWA
they
crew.
Are different.
You know, and so
FaceTime.
And then Schatar has this whole, you know, reality TV crew. You know, but our strength is where the circles overlap in those intersections. You know, it's the intersections that we can make, you know, that allow us to bring new audiences and different perspectives, and that's the strength of any organization. You know, we reference the Avengers all the time. We reference the Justice League, you know, and so that's what we are doing here with the Super Live Producers crew, you know, is that we are, you know, strengthening our talents, our abilities, but we're also doing brain dumps on our knowledge and getting it out to the world. And then we are unifying our respective audiences. You know, we're mobilizing our respective audiences, and we're offering this information to our respective audiences, you know. And so as we look forward now, we want to get even more prepping for this year into actionable items. We want to get into things, you know, that are clearly going to be helpful, that are not just about hype, that are not just about hustle, but they're about useful in our respective businesses and in our lives and everything, you know. And so that's why we're taking this time. I mean, this is nearly a 2-hour session that we've done here, you know, and we want to appreciate everyone who's been rolling with us, you know, who's been hanging with us, you know, this whole time, you know, because again, we know you've got a lot of, as Troy said, there's a lot of distractions for attention. You know, so the folks who we're bringing to the table, who are sitting down and listening, we value your time, and we value the fact that you are receptive to what we have to say.
Yeah, I want to add to that part right there. That's the incredible part. You know, I had some people who I, you know, recommended the class for, and you know, just in this season in my life, I'm just making sure I spend my time in a way that's beneficial to me and my family and my friends and even them. And I said, look, if you want access to me at a rate that you can afford, this is where you need to be, because this is where I'm going to be, right? Because I remember I built my first business. I did networking groups, meaning I would get up for breakfast and go to these networking groups 3 days a week. And hey, my name is Troy, and I sell voicemail, and this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And we created these friendships over a 6-month, 1 year, 5 year period, right? So I did that for about 5 years. I still get business from those meetings today, right? But now without that level of investment, I don't have to do 3 days a week, get in my car and go. I can be in a course like this where I'm starting to identify, and I'm following Wayne now. You know, Wayne is asking me questions that have nothing to do with video and everything to do with video and music, right? So we're developing our own little side relationship, maybe Ardell, and we start to see people who are in this course.
Yes.
Ada, who I met in Las Vegas. So I'm able to follow her journey. And this allows us to build our tribe without having to get on a plane, which I love to get on a plane. But it allows us to do it in a way.
I don't love to get on a plane.
Yeah. I got a funny story about Maxie and his plane thing. Like, man, I just rather catch the train or the bus. It's okay. I'll write. I'm like, man, I am getting on. I'll see you there. When you get there 2 days later, okay, I'll see you.
Yep.
But it takes all kinds, right?
Yeah. You know, because once upon a time, the only way I would really be able to get off the grid was to get on Greyhound.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I would do. I would write going from California to Tennessee, take that 3-day trek. I knew every stop, you know, and But now, you know, we're at different points in our lives and we want to maximize.
So are our
time.
knees.
Yes, our knees, our backs, our shoulders.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't do Greyhound anymore. I can do Amtrak, but I can't do Greyhound. And the funny thing about the Greyhound thing is it's just the how can I put it without sounding elitist, but it is now become like a homeless encampment. I live in Dallas, and it's like, you know, people, you see people getting on a bus with a trash bag, you know what I'm saying, as their luggage, and you know, you see here, let me put it this way, it is depressing, right? It's not that the people are bad, it's just this is where they are in life. But in where I'm going, I want to be around people who are going in the same direction, right? And meaning that, you know, I see a young family, a single parent with 3 little kids, and the hair ain't combed, and they moving in trash bags. And I'm inclined to help, but my energy needs to be in a different way. So there is a luxury bus service that I catch to Austin every time there's a budget. Okay, so there's Greyhound, right? I live 1 mile from Greyhound. There's Megabus, which is the college students, which is cool, but I have nothing in common with college students. And then there's the Vaughn Lane. It's $100 each way, right? And if there's a budget, I put that into the budget. You get on the bus, they got an airline stewardess type chick. She gives you the safety briefing. They feed you. They give you a laptop pad. They put a blanket and a pillow on you. There's a bathroom, a full-size bathroom a brother my size can use. And like I said, you got food, internet, and it goes from the DoubleTree Hotel to the Hyatt. And I get off and I don't have to recover from, you know, sitting next to a dude who was going to work in the oil fields in Houston. You know what I mean? And so it helps me keep my energy and my spirit right. Because in production, I'm gonna tell you this, in production, I know we're talking about editing, but in production, it is very tiring, but it doesn't look tiring because your mind is fully engaged on everything that is happening in that scene, on that set. And you get mentally tired when you're done. Before your body gives up, your mind is shutting down. Now, as I've gotten older, I realized I have to keep my body in shape because what was happening was my mind was going and my body was going. And it was taking me 3 or 4 days to recover from a production. And so now that I'm back in shape, my body is cool, but my mind is still like blitzed, right? And so with my mind being blitzed, I want to make sure that I am comfortable going and coming to these productions. Yeah. Even like when I just flew out of town to the Poconos to do a production, I always put a day. I don't produce on the same day that I get there if I can help it. I want to get to the city.
Your recovery time.
I want to get in the hotel. I want to eat what the local folks eat. I want to go to CVS. I want to go to Walgreens and get my elderberry and my my little drink and my little whatever I'm gonna do. I'm gonna log into my own Netflix. I'm gonna sleep good. I'm gonna get up in the morning to work out. Then I'm going to work. How about that? And then on the way back, I do the same thing. I add a day to the end of the production. So a 2-day production is a 4-day trip for me. And look, Maxie, I'll tell you the truth. I don't build a client for that because that's me time. That's like my spa time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Being a family man is like, this is the time where ain't nobody home and they know I can't help them because I'm not there. That was calling me, but I'm not there. I can't help you. I'm chilling.
Yeah, man. Troy, thank you so much. For all this. So, dear, I want again give you the last word. But Troy, I want to hear your word too. But I want to give one more RIP before we wrap up, you guys. I didn't do it at the top, but that's to the homie Debo, Tiny Lister. R.I.P. Tiny Lister.
My grandmama gave me that chain.
Exactly. Yes. I had the good fortune of meeting and working with Tiny Lister on the movie Meteor Man. Brother was just always showed love to everybody. Used to act like he was going to growl at you, but just showed nothing but love. So we want to send a big RIP to Tiny Lister as well. Troy, anything you want to say before we pitch it to Schatar to take us out?
Yes. As we talk about editing, as we talk about this course, and as we talk about the pandemic and the things that we do to make a living, right? I shared something today. Something came up on my timeline today. And me and Maxie were live streaming 12 years ago. And we were using the TriCaster Pro, which was about $5,000 or $6,000. The internet was slow, it was shaky. But this is something we've been doing for a long time. But a lot of times you look at the pioneers in the game, and the pioneers are the ones with the arrow in the back. And what had happened was, the market wasn't ready for these ideas. And this happens all the time. And we just kind of put it down and move on to the next thing, right? And so I'm just happy to be here in a time and in a space and a place where the tools are affordable. The bandwidth is available. And even though we had a couple of glitches, I got a slower internet connection. I was able to come in and out. All the tools are in place that will simplify and allow your vision to come to pass without the technology or the resources or the budgets being the thing that stops it. The other side of that, when you have limited resources, you get more creative. And I think part of having all these resources is it's sucking some of the creativity out. I did a documentary on a young man who was in prison, and he showed me methods on how to cut your hair with some type of a razor / comb, how to make gourmet level food on a metal bed, how they message each other, and their creativity is such. I just seen a video of a fashion show in a prison, right? And you got people out here who ain't in prison who want to do fashion shows, and they're not doing it because they have options, right? And options are the enemy of focus. And so what I would recommend for you is to focus in on what you want to do and limit the options from a standpoint of not doing it, and then get the tools that you need and do it. Just do it. And the pandemic has taught us or allowed us to have the time to get back and do what's important. And that's my last word is this, that listen, you can paralyze yourself by trying to figure out all these options. I have 50 pieces of things on my desk right now. And I was just looking for the best way to deliver, complete it, just complete it. I seen a video from Wayne. He's going to look at that video 5 years from now and he's not going to be happy with it. I thought it was great. He probably thought it was great, but don't wait for perfection. If I showed you my first video, I cringe every time I look at it. It's horrible. It's horrible, but it was done.
Yes.
It's done.
Yes.
So go ahead and get something done.
That's right.
Sell something. And then if you sell it, now you got to deliver it. That's my method.
Show and prove.
Absolutely.
Show and prove. And so again, Troy, thank you, cousin. Thank you, family, man.
Thank you.
Invaluable information. Super live producers. We are not going to have another lab after this 2-hour session right here today. We're going to do it on Sunday. But please, by all means, shoot us an email if you have any questions, if you want us to take a look at anything, before Sunday. And with that in mind, sweetheart, take us up out of here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Super Live producers. We see the ones who are here joining us in the virtual studio, as well as the ones who are joining us from across the web. Thank you so much. Keep with your progress. Everyone is working at their own pace. So thank you for posting your videos. We've seen them. They are wonderful. And only as you continue to grow your businesses, you're going to continue to make more and more videos. So they only get better and better and better as you go throughout the years. So continue to do your videos. And if you have any questions, message us in the member only chat at superliveproducers.com. For people who are not yet members, you can still message us in the chat. It's just the public chat there at superliveproducers.com. And we are here and we look forward to seeing everyone. We go live next on Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific. So for everyone who's looking for the next lessons, you'll be able to join us then at superliveproducers.com/live. So we'll be
talking about e-learning and training on Sunday. E-learning content, e-learning platforms, creating e-learning content, and creating e-learning platforms.
Yes, and so my name is Schatar Safira Collier. I look forward to that next session on e-learning. Exciting stuff. I know you guys are waiting for it, and we will see you there.